Hey there, welcome to today's video tutorial where I'll guide you step by step through the process of making one of those adorable miniature granny square bags. These little bags will be a fantastic addition to your dollhouse or a stylish accessory for dolls like Blythe or Barbie. If you take a closer look and ignore the colors, you'll notice that all these bags are pretty much identical when it comes to construction. Once you've got the hang of making the basics, a granny square and join as you go method, you can let your creative juices flow and come up with endless combinations. In this video, I will show you how to make the classic of granny square bags, the iconic colorful granny bag. Now let's dive into the tools and materials you'll need. For this little bag, I'm using my all-time favorite, a 0.4mm hook, the Etimo Rose by Tulip. For additional tools, you'll need a size 12 beading needle for weaving in the ends, embroidery scissors, a foam board, a bowl of warm water with a couple of drops of liquid soap, and some pins for blocking. Now onto the threads. I'm using Gutermann 100% Silk S 303 threads, but here's the good news. To make one of those little bags, you can easily use any regular sewing threads you have already lying around at home. To create this bag, you'll need 13 little granny squares. Again, you can choose any colors you like. You can go for identical squares or mix things up to achieve that classic granny square bag look. My personal preference is to create all the squares in advance before moving on to join them with the background color. Here's the chart I'm using for the squares. These granny squares are designed with just 3 rounds, which means they're incredibly quick to whip up. Feel free to take a screenshot of this granny square chart for future reference, or simply pause the video when you're working on your own grannies. If you're aiming for a slightly larger bag, you can easily add a few extra rounds to your squares. If you've never crocheted a granny square before, I recommend making a couple of them using a regular sized hook before diving into making them with such a tiny hook. Start your granny square with a magic ring. It tends to create less bulk in the center and is much easier to manage when working on such a small scale. To get a clearer understanding of what I'm doing, feel free to refer to the small chart in the corner of the screen. It'll help you follow along more easily. To make sure that the beginning tail of the magic ring stays secure, attach it with a slip stitch to one of the double crochets. This way, once you've worked over it in the next round, it's firmly in place and ready to be snipped off. Attach your colours using a square knot in the corner opposite to the starting corner of the previous round. This provides enough space to work over and securely fasten all ends. While you're working your way around the square, make sure to work over the ends. If you've tied off your ends and worked over them as you progressed, simply give them a gentle tug to adjust the tension and they'll be ready for trimming. Just be extra cautious not to cut the end that's closing the last round, as we'll address that when we start joining the squares. Now let's get started with the first square. You'll be constructing the bag from the bottom up, so this square will be at the bottom of your bag. This is an easy one. Just work another round using the background colour. Just a quick reminder, as you work around the square, make sure to crochet over the ends. Your first square is ready. Now, let's attach the second square. As you work your way around the second square, you will attach one of its sides to the bottom square. From this point forward, all squares will follow the same starting process. Begin by attaching the thread to one of the corners, and then proceed to work on one side of the square. Once you've completed the first cluster of 3 double crochets in the corner, chain 1, and then join it with a slip stitch to one of the corners of the bottom square. Make 3 double crochets in the corner. Again, attach it with a slip stitch to the next space between the double crochet clusters of the bottom granny square. Repeat this step until you reach the next corner. When you've completed the first cluster of double crochets in the corner, chain 1, and then attach it to the corner chain 2 space of the bottom square. Complete working around the square. Once you're done joining the squares, take a moment to snip off the securely fastened ends. Now let's move on to attaching the third square, which is also quite straightforward. It shares just one side with the bottom square, and you'll follow the same process as you did for the previous square. Stitch to the space between the two granny squares. Follow the same process as you did for the previous square. First 3 squares done, 10 squares to go. Just a quick reminder to take care of the ends. Now things get a bit more interesting. Beginning with the fourth square, you'll be attaching your square to not one, but two squares. Don't worry, it's simpler than it may sound, and I'm sure you'll grasp it quickly. Begin your square as you normally would and attach it to the last available corner of the bottom square. Join the two sides together. When you reach the corner, attach your square with a slip stitch to the space between the two squares. Now you will attach your square to the next square, repeating the same steps. Remember to work over your ends. Complete working around the square. The little bag is already starting to take shape. Now let's move on to the fifth square. You'll attach it in the same manner as you just did, but this time to the opposite side of the bag. Congratulations, you've successfully completed the base of your bag, and the challenging part is behind you. Moving forward, attaching all the squares will follow the exact same method, making the process much quicker and easier. Let's take care of the 6th granny square. Beginning with the 6th square, you'll be attaching all your squares in the V-shaped spaces formed between the squares that are already attached. Attach your square to the first side, forming the V-space. As you reach the corner, work 3 double crochets, chain 1, and then connect it with a slip stitch to the space between the 2 squares that form the V. Attach your square to the second side, forming the V space. Complete the corner and finish your round in the same manner you've done with all the previous squares. Attach the next square in precisely the same manner as you did with the previous square. Here's some good news. You're halfway through joining your little squares. If you're starting to feel some fatigue in your hands and eyes, don't hesitate to pause the video and take a break. I consider it crucial, especially with projects that take hours to complete. Take a short walk, stretch your hands and body, or perhaps attend to those dishes calling your name in the kitchen. The next square you'll be working on will form one of the edges of the bag when folded in half. To simplify your work, go ahead and refold the bag in a way that the two sides to which you'll be attaching the square are facing you. Attach the new square with a slip stitch to the space between the first two squares. Attach the square by joining it to the next two sides. Work a slip stitch in the space between the two squares. Work a slip stitch in the space between the two squares. Square number 9 forms the edge on the opposite side of the bag. You'll work it in the exact same way as you did the previous square. Congratulations! You've just completed the second row of granny squares and your bag is nearly finished. The last 4 squares will be attached in the same manner, filling in the V-shaped spaces on both the front and back of your bag. Attach the next square in precisely the same manner as you did with the previous square. just 2 more squares to go and you've got it. Follow the same steps as you did for the previous square. Only 1 square left to complete. Don't forget about those loose ends. Be sure to take care of them right away. It will save you a lot of stress when you begin working on the handles. By this point, you should have only 4 loose ends remaining at the corners of the top 4 squares. Get ready for a lot of single crochet stitches as you'll be working along the top edge of the bag. Begin in the middle of the V-shaped space on one side of the bag. Attach your thread to the top chain space of the square below. Chain 1 and create 1 single crochet in the same space. Continue with 1 single crochet in the next chain space and then work 1 single crochet in every stitch until you reach the top corner of the square. Continuing, work 3 single crochets in the chain 2 space and then proceed with 1 single crochet in each stitch until you reach the bottom of the V space. Don't forget to work over the loose ends as you go to ensure they are securely fastened. Just as you began the round, work one single crochet in the first chain space, followed by one single crochet in the top chain space of the square below, and finally a single crochet in the next chain space. Continue following this pattern until you reach the end of this round. Start the second round by working the next 2 stitches together, and then make one single crochet in each of the following stitches until you reach the second single crochet stitch in the top corner. Make a single crochet in it. To form the first of the handles, attach these 2 corners together. Chain 50 to create your first handle. Make sure the chain is not twisted and secure it with a single crochet to the second chain in the top corner of the square located to the left of where you initially started your chain. If you happen to drop stitches, as I did here, don't worry. Just be sure to keep track of how many chains you've dropped and add that number to your chain. Continue with one single crochet until you reach the bottom 3 stitches in the V space. Work these 3 stitches together using a double decrease. Make 1 single crochet in each of the following stitches until you reach the second single crochet stitch in the top corner. Chain 50 to create your second handle. Make sure the chain is not twisted and attach it to the second stitch in the corner of the next granny square, and then proceed with single crochets until you reach the last 2 stitches of the round. Work these 2 stitches together and then slip stitch to the first chain of the previous round. Continue working single crochet stitches until you reach the chain. This part will require a good deal of patience, so take your time and don't rush. Work 1 single crochet in each of the next 50 chain stitches. Well done! Now, just like in the previous round, work single crochet stitches until you reach the bottom 3 stitches in the V space. Work these 3 stitches together and then continue single crochets until you reach the second chain. Work 1 single crochet in each of the next 50 chain stitches. Work single crochets until the last 2 stitches of the round. Combine these 2 stitches by working them together and then finish the round by slip stitching in the next single crochet stitch. You've finished crocheting the bag. Congratulations and well done! Before you block the little granny square bag, make sure to attend to the remaining loose ends. If you were tidying up the ends after each square, you should have just 1 loose end left that needs securing, the end that finished your bag. Take a size 12 beading needle and secure the end by weaving it between the stitches on the inside of the bag. Take your embroidery scissors and gently snip off all the remaining ends, being extra careful not to accidentally cut your squares in the process. Your little bag is all set for a bubble bath. Place the bag in lukewarm water with a few drops of liquid soap or a gentle shampoo. Give it a gentle rub and stretch it in all directions to help even out the stitches and give the bag its desired shape. As you work on it, apply a bit of pressure while moving your fingers along the handles to strengthen them and eliminate any curling. Place the bag between 2 layers of a towel and press down to remove any excess water. The bag is now ready for blocking. Give it one last gentle stretch and then start pinning it to the foam board. In this demonstration, I'm using a round wooden pushpin to help shape the handle into a nice curve. If you don't have one, you can achieve the same effect by using a couple of sewing pins. Take 2 pins and while gently pulling the bag down, pin the 2 sides of the bag together, ensuring the corners match up neatly. Allow the bag several hours to completely dry and you're all set. Fantastic job! You've just completed your very own miniature granny square bag, and that's something to be proud of. If you'd like to share your wonderful creation, feel free to post it on Instagram. Don't forget to use the hashtag you see on the screen and tag me in your post or story. I can't wait to see your bag, and I'm curious to know which colours you've chosen for it. If you found this tutorial enjoyable and would like to see more videos like this, please show your support by liking, sharing and subscribing to my channel. And if you'd like to take your support a step further, consider becoming a patron on Patreon, where you'll gain access to exclusive patron-only content such as patterns, tips and behind-the-scenes insights. You can find all the links in the description below. Thank you so much for watching.